So when I was in high school, I felt God calling me into the dental medical field, and I felt a real strong calling into that. So I pursued that field, and when I graduated from dental school, I asked the Methodist Church, the General Board of Global Ministries, if they needed dental missionaries, a dental missionary, and that door closed. So I came to Allen to start my practice. And from there, it went on into a guy joining our church. One of the ways that our church participated in Send Hope or got involved with Send Hope is when a man joined our church and said he was going to Honduras to do a medical trip. And I said, I've always wanted to use my dentistry because I thought God wanted me to be a missionary. So I've always wanted to use dentistry to help people. So I went with him to pull teeth. That was in 1991.
Was that, you still had a full practice at that time, right?
Yeah, I started my practice in Allen in 1975 when I moved here and joined the Methodist Church. And so I went and I was going. I went down to Honduras in 91 and pulled teeth, and through that I met other people, and I started going to Mexico to work with a ER doctor out of Corpus Christi, Texas. And through him, we met a missionary in Honduras, and so people from my church started going to Mexico to help build an orphanage down there. And all the time I was going back into Mexico, some to Honduras, some to other locations. But I decided if I was ever going to accomplish anything lasting and permanent, I needed to focus on one location, and my heart was in Honduras. And I wish God had called me to a cooler climate, but that's where I saw the most need, and that's where I felt like I needed to concentrate on. So now I don't go to any other locations other than Honduras and the Mosquito Coast for Send Hope.
So 91 was your first trip to Honduras. When and how did your heart get caught for Honduras?
Well, that's where I saw the most need, and I'm not sure if it was something about where you do something for the first time. It's kind of affects your life a lot, but that's just what I felt God calling me to do. I felt we were bringing children back to Scottish Rite Hospital for medical treatment, and the first boy we brought back, they fused his thigh to his hip, and he didn't have a movable hip joint, so he couldn't do the kind of work that he needed to do to support a family. So we thought education would be the answer, and I was trying to get Walter educated, get him to have an education. And I was paying his aunt $80 a month to room and board him. And he came over from his village, which was across the Laguna, about an hour and a half boat ride. And I was paying his aunt to room and board him. And I would go down there, and his aunt wouldn't even be there. He and his cousin would be in this little small house that she had. And I'd go back to check on Walter, and he wasn't passing Spanish or math. So God gave me a vision for a children's home, and to try to we brought maybe 20 kids up to Scottish Rite by then, and several of them I had tried to see that they got an education and brought them over to the main town where a children's home is. And so God gave me a vision for a children's home, a place that kids could go and feel safe and be brought up in a Christian environment, and someone to make sure they got their homework done.
So the Send Hope, why is it called Send Hope?
We were part of the first guy I went with had an organization called Global Outreach, and he led the first trip. In 1992, I led the second trip. So there were 10 people, and at that time you could carry 2 pieces of the luggage. So we had 20 pieces. When we got to Honduras, 13 of the pieces of luggage we had were missing, and we later found out that the 13 bags that we had were stolen in Honduras. And I had decided I wanted to try to save teeth rather than just do extractions. So I had bought a portable, the smallest generator to run the smallest air compressor that would run a dental handpiece. And I had been given a lot of medication by a lady in McKinney that was the the middle person for Walmart. So she'd given me a lot of vitamins and Tylenol, over the counter things. And all of that stuff got stolen in Houston. And I found out that my insurance covered for dental equipment in transit. So I added everything up. We had $20,000 worth of stuff stolen. And so the insurance company wrote me a check for $20,000. That's how we got started. Sometimes the Bible says what man intends for evil, God intends for good. And that's basically what happened in that story. So we were putting we put that money in this global outreach. And Sharon kept saying, and Sharon and I both kept saying, we need to form our own nonprofit so we can have it, put it in under our name. And I'd say, well, get that started. And she'd say, well, give me a name. And I couldn't come up with a name. One day coming back from Honduras, coming back from the airport from DFW, it just kind of hit me that it was about hope and about helping other people. But that spelled HOP. So I had to add an E to that because it was about giving people hope. And Sharon looked at the internet and there was a lot of things named hope, but she put the word send in front of hope, and that stuff that seemed to fit what we were doing.
Mhm. So as the ministry got started, who were some of the other people at First Allen who came alongside and supported what you were doing?
So we found a piece of property down there when I had this vision for a children's home. We looked for property and found a piece of property. And so there were two guys from my church. Mike Tucker was one of them, and another former member that went down and started digging the ditches to lay the concrete block for the walls. And I had never thought about taking any young people down there, but two things happened. When we opened the children's home, the House of Hope, in 2005, Mike asked his family, asked his twin girls and Marilyn to come along and go with us. And I saw how the twins played with the kids there at the House of Hope and how they kind of fit in. And I told Mike, we need to get some children down here. We need to get kids down here from our church just to see how these kids live and to kind of open their eyes to another way of life. And another thing that happened was when Milton was at our church, he had a youth service one day, and it was when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was popular, and he had three high school kids sit down on the front steps up there, and he asked them. One of the questions he asked was, "What would you do if you won Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?" And two of the three said, "I would give some of that money to send hope and to the kids in Honduras." And it was that and the fact that Megan and Lindsay played so well with the other kids. I thought we need to concentrate on getting some of our youth down here.
So there were some youth and who got caught, it sounds like, by the same thing that caught your heart.
Yeah, that's right. So right now, the people that run the House of Hope is the Hozaks, and one of the youth that was we asked to come down to Honduras was Lauren Hozak, and she came down after her senior year of high school and fell in love with the place and the kids and the whole environment down there. So she started coming back, and she went to college and got her degree in international studies, and came back and said that's what she wanted to do. And there was another lady overseeing the house, another family overseeing the house at the time, and a lot of people knew Katrina, and she passed away from a brain tumor at a young age. And when that happened, Lauren and Stephen were able to take over. So the fact is that she came down as a youth is why she's there now. I tell people, if you don't want your life to change, then you probably shouldn't go. But a lot of, particularly youth that have gone down there, one from Tennessee came down and worked there for a while. Another one from Kentucky, and a couple of those young ladies that came down there have taken children that were at the House of Hope and started their own ministry with them and still live there in Honduras.
So looking back, it's 30 years, right? That you've been
Yeah.
going down to
Mhm.
Honduras. Looking back over that, it's a lot of years to look at. What impact have you seen on the people you've taken, the kids there, the families, Honduras itself?
Well, it's kind of hard to see exactly, what's happened to all of them, but as I said, we were bringing children back to Texas Scottish Rite for orthopedic treatment, and we've seen kids go back that had club feet and other orthopedic problems, scoliosis and things like that have straightened their lives, their bodies out, and help them get strength and able to move to maneuver, to support themselves. We've sent containers, 40-foot, 18-wheelers down there numerous times. We send 4 or 5 of those a year, and we're feeding children that otherwise may not be alive. We're keeping, I don't know how many kids how many kids have been saved, their lives have been saved because of the nutrition and the foods and the stuff, the medication and the medical attention that have been provided through Send Hope. Numerous kids we have children living at the House of Hope now that coming from abusive situations that we've gotten them out of those. The government, that people that work with human rights have sent kids to us that were in abusive situations, and we've gotten them out of those situations. And we've had kids that have been baptized, given their life to Christ because they've been raised in this Christian environment. And other individuals that are now in college, going to nursing school and become a nurse. And we still have kids now in college that are getting their college degrees. So we don't really know what the effect of the House of Hope has been, but because you can't see it all the time, but it's I think it's been massive
Yeah,
on the people there.
I would say so. Just what you said right there. That's significant impact. That's broader than just who lives in the House of Hope, but because those young people have been impacted, they're impacting their families and their world and Honduras. What impact has there been on you, Tom?
Oh, well, it's my life now. So, I mean, I thought God wanted me to be a missionary, and I wake up one day and I find that I am one. But it's, when I first went, I realized that's why God called me into this field. And I've tried to dedicate my life to the people there in Honduras. And now I tell people sometimes when I go to Honduras, I go down there to rest up because I go down there on vacation because doing dental work down there is a lot easier than a lot of the work that I'm doing here with Kids Against Hunger and packing the food, and cleaning the building up and keeping things in order and packing things, loading containers and that kind of work. That kind of physical work is harder than when I go to Honduras.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate you being willing to share at least a part of the story. And it sounds like the most recent trip was powerful for the people who went, as it always is. So, yeah.
It was so good to get people back down there.
Yeah.
For years, every year we would take people, and there would be just a few sometimes, and as many as 20 or
Yeah.
so at other times, and really good to get them back.